Tale of the Sun and Moon by Megan Slime. Episode 16, Separation. 34 AG, Earth Kingdom. Wearily, Leanna carries Michi in her arms as Raiden, Hakan, and Faye walk beside her. Next to them, Taki rides atop Isla. All of them start walking up a large hill.
Gee, who knew walking all the way across the Earth Kingdom would be so much fun?
5 people is just too much for Isla to carry over such long distances. We can switch out who rides on her, 1 or 2 at a time.
Or I can walk while the rest of you ride.
Nah, we all enjoy walking too much for that.
Just then, Michi leaps from Leanna's arms onto Taki's lap. She curls up in a ball to rest.
Guess Michi wants to ride.
This eelhound, she's quite impressive, I must say.
Yes, she is. I never really had to train her either. I saved Isla a while back, and ever since then, she's stayed with me.
No wonder she is so loyal.
Would you like to ride for a while, Faye?
Oh no, there is no need.
No, really. Hop on.
If you insist.
Taki slows Isla to a stop so that Faye can climb up behind her. They continue on with the others beside them.
I've heard that eelhounds are the fastest creatures upon land or sea.
Except now, that is.
Raiden, do you mind telling your twin here to quit his complaining?
Hakan glances over at Raiden with a raised eyebrow and a smirk. Raiden looks from him back over to Leanna and then forward.
No point. Hakan does what he wants.
I was afraid you'd say that.
Come on, Leanna. We're companions now. You're going to have to get used to me at some point.
At that moment, the group stops at the top of the hill and stares out at a vast swampland before them.
Oh, gosh. Is that
A swamp.
It's enormous. It must cover miles and miles.
This must be V-Swamp. I used to hear stories of its strange properties.
what strange properties?
Most who venture into the swamp never return. Those who do make it out talk of sensing ominous spiritual energy.
Oh, give me a break.
We have 2 options. Travel through the swamp or around it.
Going around it will take twice as long at least.
I really don't think we should go through it. Who knows what we'll experience in there?
I say we go through it. We can face whatever this swamp has to offer. Why make our trip twice as long just because of some deranged rumors?
They aren't deranged. Everyone in the Earth Kingdom knows not to enter this forsaken swamp.
I agree with Leanna. There's something off about this swamp. A strange, foreboding feeling.
This is Taki's mission. If she says to go around, we go around.
Of course he'd agree with her.
It's decided then.
Oh, thank goodness.
Silently, all of them move down the hill and along the edge of the swamp. As they go, each of them glances over at the looming forested swamp every so often. No one speaks. Out of nowhere, Isla suddenly stops walking and turns her head towards the swamp.
Isla? What's wrong, girl?
All of a sudden, Isla takes off running into the swamp, carrying Michi, Taki, and Faye with her. They disappear into the dense fog and trees as the others are left slack-jawed and wide-eyed. Raiden, Leanna, and Hakan quickly exchange glances and then sprint after them. Trudging through water and leaping over fallen trees, Isla continues tearing through the swampland as Taki and Faye desperately try to hold on.
Isla, hold it! Where?
As Isla jumps over a tall mound, Taki and Faye both lose their grip. Falling from Isla, they crash into the water and moss as Isla and Michi keep going. The animals disappear past some trees. Slowly, Taki and Faye sit up and stare back at one another with wide eyes.
Did that just happen?
Yes, we've been separated.
Both of them stand up and survey the dense swamp surrounding them.
Do you think we should head back to the others, or go after Isla and Michi?
I'm sure the others will have entered the swamp after us. They won't be too far behind us. I say we continue on. Securing our riding mount is top priority.
Right, makes sense.
We should be able to track the eelhound's path.
Faye moves in the direction Isla and Michi disappear. With a brief glance back where they came from, Taki follows after Faye.
I hope the others make it all right. I know Leanna especially didn't want to come in here.
Good thing she's traveling with 2 exceptionally skilled warriors. Leanna will be well protected.
True. I just hope the twin warriors don't end up fighting each other.
A fair distance back in the swamp, Raiden, Hakan, and Leanna continue sprinting through the water and trees.
They must be long gone by now. Why are we still running?
My thoughts exact.
Just then, Leanna trips on a tree root and falls forward in the knee-high water. The twins stop and look back at Leanna as she grudgingly stands up, now soaking wet.
How are we possibly going to find them in this endless swamp?
We follow their tracks.
Then lead on, oh great mercenary.
Ignoring Hakan's comment, Ryden turns and starts following the trail of Isla's sporadic tracks. Hakan and Leanna walk behind him. Ryden has to stop every so often to check the tracks and find his bearings.
Think we could go any faster, Rye? Don't want to completely lose them.
Perhaps the great captain would prefer to lead the tracking.
They continue on in silence for a short time. Leanna wraps her arms around herself with a slight shiver as she glances around them at the surrounding swamp.
I just hope the others are all right. Especially Michi. I've never really been separated from her before. Not since we came together years ago.
I'm sure your feline is perfectly fine.
But this place, it doesn't feel right.
It's just a swamp.
But it's not. Doesn't it feel like we're being watched?
No, we're completely alone. Fortunately.
I hope we at least find the others before it gets dark.
We'll find them, Leanna. Trust me.
Far ahead in the swamp, Taki and Faye continue trudging through the dense swamp. Uneasily, Taki glances around.
You know, it's starting to get dark. Think we should stop for the night?
Faye slows to a stop, and so does Taki.
I suppose the others will most likely stop as well. The eelhound track shouldn't go anywhere by morning.
Great.
Taki looks around until she sees a wide mound of hard ground above the water. She moves to it, with Faye close behind.
This spot should do.
The two of them sit down on a few small stumps.
Too bad neither of us are firebenders. It's kind of chilly now.
Aren't you from the Northern Water Tribe?
Yes, but I was always dressed for the cold.
A fire may attract unwanted attention anyway. Who knows what's lurking in this place?
You got that right.
An almost awkward silence fills the air.
How do you think the others are doing?
I believe they are fine. Both the Lightning Shadow and Captain Hakan are trained to be ready for anything. And Leanna seems to be quite the powerful earthbender. They will be perfectly safe.
You aren't concerned for them at all?
Why would I be?
Well, because... never mind.
Just as Faye is about to lie down, Taki speaks again.
So you still see Hakan as your captain? Even though his title and position have been taken away.
I swore an oath to serve him. I intend on keeping it.
Didn't you also swear an oath to serve the Fire Nation?
Faye looks down.
Circumstances being what they were, I had a choice between upholding my oath to my nation or to my captain.
And you chose Hakan.
With a blank expression, Faye looks over at Taki.
Yes.
Thoughtfully, Taki glances down.
Can I ask you something, Faye?
Besides the questions you've already asked me.
Right. Well, it's just that you and Ryden are so similar. Both of you don't say much and don't really express your inner thoughts and feelings. How does someone like me reach through the walls of someone like that?
With a brief pause, Faye looks up into the dark canopy above them.
The more anyone tries to break through our walls, the more people like us make them stronger. The best thing you can do is just to be there. If Ryden trusts you, he'll open up, given enough time. But it needs to be on his terms. My guess is Ryden became a mercenary so that he could always be in control of his life. He's not going to share his inner self with just anyone. It needs to be the right person.
Slowly, a tiny smile appears on Taki's face.
Thank you, Faye.
Faye turns to Taki and gives her a small nod. Then she moves to lie down.
We should get some rest.
Right. Good night.
Taki lies down as well, and the two girls sleep. Back a ways in the vast swamp, Ryden, Leanna, and Hakan keep walking in the dark. Leanna does her best to keep up with them, and tries not to trip on anything.
You know, I'm assuming the others have stopped for the night. Why don't we?
If we want to catch up to them, we need to cover more ground than them.
But there's something very wrong with this swamp. I really think we should...
Oh, come on. There's absolutely nothing abnormal about this swamp. Why do you have to be so afraid of everything?
I'm not afraid of everything.
Oh, yeah? Aren't you the one who is terrified of battle and even fire? Guess that means we won't get along too well, then. Careful not to upset me, or else who knows what...
Just then, Ryden whirls around and strides over to his brother. He stops inches from his face.
Don't ever threaten Leanna again.
Or
What?
What are you gonna do, brother?
You know very well what I'm capable of.
Not too sure. Maybe we need to finish our last battle.
Hakan, if you threaten or attack anyone in this group, I will not hesitate.
Stop! Just stop! Both of you!
Raiden and Hakan look over at Liana as a small tremor shakes beneath them in the soggy earth.
We're stopping to rest for the night, and that's final.
Briskly, Liana moves past the twins and sits down on a wide log resting upon a large grassy area. Raiden and Hakan glare at one another for a brief moment before also moving to the wide grass-covered mound. As they move past her, Liana glances nervously around at the swamp.
This swamp is alive.
A far distance away, Isla continues racing through the darkened swamp with Michi on her back. Eventually, they come to the very center of the swamp, where a massive tree reaches up into the sky, creating an extensive canopy overhead. Countless large roots stretch out from the tree and reach all across the swampland. Isla slows to a stop on one of the wide roots and begins sniffing it. Just then, a middle-aged woman, Aisu, wearing leaf clothing, appears behind Isla and Michi.
Ah, I see the swamp has called you.
Isla whirls around and studies the strange woman carefully. Aisu sits down cross-legged on the root. With a contented smile, she stares out at the vast swamp.
Folk and critters alike from all over the world are called here. This spot, the center of the swamp, is the most sacred of all. The spiritual nature of this swamp brings about visions and memories of people we love or people we lost.
Aisu glances over at Isla and meets you with a mischievous grin.
What has it shown you, critters?
In another part of the swamp, eerie moonlight beams down over Taki and Faye, sleeping. Feeling a mystical presence, Taki sits up suddenly and glances all around, panting hard. She looks over at Faye, who is still fast asleep. Trying to slow her breath, Taki stands slowly and carefully ventures through some nearby trees. She comes to an open area with the moonbeams casting down upon the glistening water. Taki's eyes grow wide when she sees a brown-haired woman wearing water tribe clothing standing in the moonlight. She's facing away from Taki.
Hello? Who are you?
Just as Taki starts moving towards her, the moon disappears behind a cloud, and the light vanishes. Taki gasps when she realizes the woman is now gone. Breathing hard, Taki frantically looks all over, searching for her. Taki whirls around when she hears a distant voice.
Yusuke.
Finally, Taki spots the back of a dark-haired man through the trees. She dashes towards him.
Wait, are you?
As Taki tears through the twisted trees, the man vanishes just as she reaches out her hand to him.
No, don't go.
Stumbling forward, Taki loses her balance and falls onto her hands and knees in the shallow water. Tears well in her eyes.
Father!
Just then, Faye appears behind Taki and kneels down next to her.
Taki, what's wrong? What happened?
I think I saw my parents. I couldn't reach them. They vanished. I'm alone. I've always been so alone.
As Taki sobs harder, Faye thinks for a moment and then slowly reaches her arms around Taki. In silence, Faye keeps holding her as Taki continues crying and clutches her necklace tightly. Back a ways in the swamp, Liana lies on the ground sleeping as Hakan sits facing away on a distant log. Raiden stands at the edge of the wide mound, leaning against a tree and gazing out into the darkened swampland. Wide-eyed, Raiden's heart stops when he sees a ghostly image of young Hakan standing between the trees a short distance away.
Why? Why did you abandon me, Rai? I need you!
Breathless, Raiden takes a step back and glances over at the real Hakan, who furrows his brows at Raiden.
What are you staring at, Rai?
When Raiden looks back to where the image of young Hakan was, his mouth drops slightly when he sees nothing. Exhaling slowly, he looks down. Suddenly, Liana sits up with a gasp. She focuses her eyes on something in the distance and lets out a shrilling scream. Raiden quickly moves to her as Hakan stands and covers his ears. The earth and trees tremble around them. Raiden crouches down next to Liana and she quickly clutches onto him tightly. The ground continues to shake.
Liana.
It was him. I saw him. I saw my papa. He was there. And now he's Now he's gone.
Unsure of what to say, Ryden continues holding Leanna as she keeps crying and shaking the surrounding earth.
If this earthquaking keeps up, she's going to alert everything lurking in this swamp that we're here.
Leanna, you need to calm down. Why don't you try to sleep some more?
But I'll have nightmares again.
The quaking intensifies. Ryden grabs Leanna's shoulder so that she's looking at him. He stares intently into her frantic green eyes.
No, you won't. I'll stay here and watch over you.
Gradually, the shaking comes to a standstill as Leanna tries to slow her breath and beating heart.
You'd really do that?
Yes. You have nothing to fear. I'll be right here.
Well, okay. Thank you, Ryden.
Wiping away her tears, Leanna lies back down and closes her eyes. Slowly, Ryden stands and moves to sit on the log next to Leanna. With a short exhale, Hakan walks to the edge of the mound.
It's about time. She's like a walking natural disaster.
Ryden says nothing and continues to watch over Leanna. Hakan shakes his head and glances out into the abyss of darkness around them. His breath catches in his throat when he sees an image of young Ryden staring back at him from between the trees.
You took my fire, Khan. You stole my bending and my birthright. Because of you, Mom hates me. Now I have to leave.
Looking down, the young Ryden turns and disappears into the void of shadow.
No. Rye, don't...
Hakan stops himself. He glances back at the real Ryden, who is now staring at him with furrowed brows and focused eyes. Ignoring his brother's gaze, Hakan faces away and looks back into the darkness surrounding them. A few hours pass, and the morning dawn stretches across the foggy swamp. In silence, Taki and Faye walk over various tree roots spread throughout the watery ground.
Have you seen any more visions this morning?
No, I haven't. I think Leanna was right about this place. Something is very strange here. Have you seen any images of anyone you care about? Anyone you've lost?
No. I have no loved or lost ones to speak of.
Taki continues staring over at Faye with furrowed brows. Faye notices this and exhales.
I don't really remember my parents. I was taken from them when I was very young to train with the Yuyan archers.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
There is no need for concern. As I said, I do not remember them. Therefore, I do not miss them.
But to grow up without knowing any sort of family.
Family is not needed for survival.
Life isn't just about surviving. Family and friends offer something invaluable. Love.
One cannot miss something one has never had.
Maybe you've experienced love before, just haven't realized it. I mean, I grew up feeling so alone and out of place. And yet, I always had Roka and Rin. Whether I knew it or not, they've always been my family. And now I'm surrounded by some amazing companions. Isla, Leanna, Michi, you, Hakan, and Ryden.
Deep in thought, Taki's gaze drifts down as Faye glances over at her.
Looks like you aren't so alone after all.
With a slight look of surprise, Taki looks over at Faye and slowly smiles back at her. Just then, several vines suddenly rise up and surge towards them. Faye dives out of the way as Taki cuts through them with some water.
What was that?
Countless more vines lift up from the water in trees to shoot towards the two girls. Taki raises a barrier of water in front of them and freezes it to ice, but several more vines come up from the side. Faye quickly stands and fires a number of precise arrows to cut through the other vines.
Where's that special superheated water I saw a while back?
Right here.
With a smirk, Taki swiftly bends a wave of boiling water up into the remaining vines. They crumble lifeless to the mossy ground.
The tracks lead up that way towards the center of the swamp. We should make a run for it.
Okay, let's go.
Taking off at top speed, Taki and Faye dash through the uneven, watery terrain of the swamp as several more vines speed towards them. Using arrows and heated water slashes, the two girls fend off the vicious vines.
Seems the swamp doesn't want us here after all. I hope the others make it all right.
Still some distance back, Ryden, Leanna, and Hakan trudge through the forested swamp marshes. A dense fog fills the morning air, and an even denser silence lies between the twins. They can't even stand to look at one another. Walking behind them, Leanna notices this. Narrowing her eyes, she stops abruptly.
That's it. I can't take it any longer.
Raiden and Hakan both stop to look back at her just as Leanna bends some earth around each of their inner feet. Both of them glance down and attempt to free their feet.
What is this? What's the deal, Tremor?
Leanna, what is the meaning?
You two clearly need to talk. Your silence is deafening. We're not traveling any farther until you two sort out what you need to.
With that, Leanna turns and walks away to sit down some distance away out of earshot. She faces away and crosses her arms. Raiden looks down as Hakan continues, struggling to free his foot from the earthy bond.
This is outrageous. How dare she pry into our lives and force conversation? It's ridiculous! Even if we do have things to discuss.
Do we?
Hakan stops struggling and looks over at his brother.
I don't know, Rai. You tell me. Oh wait, you refuse to speak to me about anything, especially our past.
With a heavy exhale, Raiden looks up to meet his brother's eyes.
What do you want to know?
I want to know the truth. Do you resent me for being a firebender when you're not? Do you blame me for stealing your fire?
No,
Hakan looks away.
but I did. A long time ago.
So, you buried away your feelings of resentment with the rest of your emotions. Tell me, brother, did becoming a mercenary truly require the loss of everything that makes you human?
I chose my path, and you chose yours.
No, I didn't. Being a Fire Nation soldier and firebending master was forced upon me.
And you blame me for that?
No, but
What do you want from me, Khan?
an apology! You abandoned me, Rai!
Momentarily speechless, Raiden stares back at his twin with his mouth slightly agape. Then he looks down.
I was a non-bender, born into a family of firebenders. I didn't belong there.
You're not just a non-bender. You're my twin brother. And you left so suddenly. Did it ever occur to you that I might have wanted to go with you?
Raiden looks up at Hakan with wide eyes. Exhaling, Hakan faces away.
Forget it. What's done is done.
Raiden is about to respond when Leanna suddenly screams nearby. Raiden and Hakan turn to find her strung up in countless vines.
Leanna!
In a flash, Raiden uses his staff to smash into the rock closed around his foot. Meanwhile, Hakan uses a fiery fist to pound away at the earth over his foot. Leanna screams as the vines tighten their grip on her.
Hang on, Leanna!
At the same moment, the twins break free from the earth and sprint over to Leanna. Raiden pulls out his dagger to cut through the vines. This frees Leanna from their grasp, and she falls into Raiden's open arms. Hakan quickly blasts the remaining vines with a flaming attack. Carefully, Raiden sets Leanna down on her feet.
Are you alright, Leanna?
Yeah, I think so. The vines just came out of no...
Before Leanna can finish, another wave of vines darts towards them from the trees. Raiden beats back several of them with his staff as Leanna bends a boulder up from the ground and launches it against some of the vines. Meanwhile, Hakan unleashes a barrage of fire blasts to burn through the remaining vines. Noticing a shadowed figure move above them in the trees, Hakan glances over at Raiden.
Rai, in the trees!
Just as Raiden runs towards one of the trees, Hakan feels some vines wrap around his ankles. He's quickly jerked back, causing him to crash to the mossy ground. Before Hakan is able to free himself from the wild vines, they pull him backwards and down into a nearby river. He is swiftly yanked underwater. With a gasp, Leanna witnesses this and turns to find Raiden busy scaling a tree to face their attacker. She turns back to the water with wide eyes.
He can't firebend.
Without hesitation, Leanna races towards the river and dives into it. Underwater, Hakan struggles against the tight grip of the vines, pulling him down deeper and deeper. Once she reaches him, Leanna attempts to rip the vines from his legs, but cannot. When they reach the very bottom of the river, Leanna notices Hakan running out of air and losing consciousness. She quickly stomps her feet into the muddy ground below and bends a wide circle of earth upwards. This breaks apart the vines and raises both of them above the water. Immediately, Hakan coughs up water from his lungs. Leanna watches with a concerned look. Once he's somewhat caught his breath, Hakan glances over at her with wide eyes.
You saved me.
Well, he would have died.
But why? Why would you?
Because even someone from the Fire Nation doesn't deserve to die. And besides, from what I can tell, you could use some kindness in your life.
Hakan looks down in thought as Leanna bends the earth column over to the mossy ground. As both of them step off the column, Raiden throws a young boy down from the branches above. The boy, Hugh, is dressed in leaves and lies in the mud staring up at them. Raiden jumps down from the tree and lands in a crouched position behind him. He stands and holds the end of his staff to Hugh's chest.
Why were you attacking us?
You outsiders don't belong here.
We didn't want to come in here, but we got separated from our friends.
Oh, yeah. I did see some other outsiders, but I lost them.
Did you attack them too? With your, waterbended vines?
Boy, did I sure try. But it was too quick. Headed towards the center of the swamp real fast.
You had better show us the way to the center. Otherwise, things might get a little hot for you.
Narrowing his eyes, Hakan ignites his fists with fire. Swallowing, Hugh slowly nods his head. In the center of the swamp, Taki and Faye make their way up a large route towards the enormous central tree. Taki's face lights up with a smile when she sees Isla and Michi lying down a ways up the route. Isla lifts her head when Taki and Faye approach.
Isla!
Excitedly, Isla rushes over to Taki and starts licking her all over while Michi rubs against her leg.
I missed you too, girl. What in the world made you run off like that?
Taki and Faye freeze when Asu steps out from behind Isla.
There's no way to explain the spiritual callings from this here mystic swamp.
Who are you?
The name's Asu. I protect this swamp with the gifts I've been given.
Slowly, Asu raises her arms and several vines lift up from their roots.
The vines. You're bending the water through them. You're like me.
I had no idea there was other waterbenders outside the swamp. You're most welcome to stay and live among us.
That's all right. We're just here for Isla and Michi. Now all we need to do is find our other friends.
Taki! Faye!
Taki and Faye turn around to find Leanna, Raiden, and Hakan walking up the route behind Hugh.
Hey, perfect timing.
Michi dashes forward and leaps into Leanna's arms. Beaming, Leanna hugs her tightly.
I missed you so much, Michi.
The groups converge on the wide route.
Glad you all found your way.
Thanks to this little vagrant who attacked us.
You! What have I told you? Only attack those hurt in the swamp. Leave alone those who've been called her. You understand?
Yeah, Mom.
I knew it all along. There's nothing strange or magical about this swamp. Just a bunch of hicks bending water into plants.
Oh, no, Sonny. This swamp is quite spiritual. Most everyone who enters here experiences memories and visions of those we love, those we lost.
Hakan looks away as the others exchange glances.
I remember one fella wandered through the swamp for days yelling the name Yazuki everywhere he went.
Did he have a scar on his right wrist?
Yeah, I believe he did. Must have come through here about 4 years ago.
He was here. Truly here.
Taki faces her companions.
We're on the right track to find my father. All we have to do now is find our way out of this swamp.
Ah, fret not. My Hugh can guide y'all to the edge of the swamp as comeuppance for attacking y'all.
All right, we're finally getting out of this place.
With a sigh, Hugh moves along a nearby route.
Oh, come on, folks. I ain't got all day. Oh, wait. I kind of do.
Everyone moves to follow Hugh down away from the massive central tree.
Safe journey, travelers!
Taki moves to walk beside Raiden as they go.
You all make it okay?
Yes.
Taki glances down in thought. Raiden notices this.
Was there something else, Taki?
Oh, no, I'm just relieved you're all okay.
The group continues on through the swamp until they near the edge of it. Hugh stops and gestures to the open earth kingdom lands beyond the swamp.
I trust y'all can find your way from her.
Yes, this will do.
As Hugh turns to move back farther into the swamp, the group continues on towards the open land. Leanna, Michi, and Taki walk towards the front and off to the side of the others. Raiden and Hakan bring up the rear while Isla and Faye lead at the front.
So, how was being lost with the twins for a day?
Unbearable at first. There was so much tension between them. It was aggravating. And beyond that, Hakan and I didn't exactly see eye to eye, but we've come to a mutual understanding.
That's good.
And for a brief moment, the twins were able to talk through some of their past issues. I think they were finally able to reconnect for the first time since they were separated all those years ago.
It's about time.
Taki glances back at Hakan and Raiden for a moment before facing forward again. The twins walk in silence, side by side. At the same moment, both of them stop walking when they feel a presence back in the swamp. Glancing behind them, Raiden and Hakan's eyes expand to see an image of their father, Zen, smiling back at them from the edge of the swamp.
How my boys have grown. Remember, you two were born twins so that you would always have one another. Family is everything. Never forget that.
Before either of the brothers can react, the vision of their father dissipates into mist. Slowly, they glance over at one another. Without a word, the twins turn back around and continue walking with the rest of the group. Silently, they avoid looking at one another.
Thank you for listening to A Tale of the Sun and Moon by Megan Sly. This has been episode 16, Separation. Voice talents included Michaela Case as the narrator, Shreya Bunce as Taki, Joshua Malley as Tayo, Alec Leonard as Hakan, Dawson Elke as Raiden, Megan Sly as Faye, Mitch Geiken as Hugh and Zen, Abby Day as Asu, and Felicia Nicole as Leanna.